Hi all. This is me sharing my 2 cents on the Corona crisis as it relates to Haidt's understanding of moral foundations and political identities, and I wanted to look specifically at the moral matrix. So I thought the initial response to the Corona crisis was almost entirely motivated by the care taste that Haidt talks about. A lot of people were looking at those who were vulnerable, and we were then, trying to be very careful as we were trying to protect those people. I heard a lot at the beginning from, little news groups and my friends that, it's not that you specifically will get corona and be in trouble, but the people around you will. So I thought that, care was what drove the initial response, and I think that follows suit in the fact that the majority of initial response was led by liberal groups, and the conservative response was a lot slower. But um, I think it eventually became a coordinated effort to help the people who are in economic danger and health danger from all of the groups. So I've seen this coordinated effort continue to develop, and I think it's going to need to continue to develop if we're going to have a continued response that successfully engages the corona crisis. All right, so right now I'm seeing more of the authority, loyalty, fairness, and care pillars of this six-taste structure that Haidt talks about become involved. More people are listening to the rules that people are laying down, in this hierarchical structure, and we're forming contracts within the group of how we're supposed to interact with each other that best enables this care. So I see this group nature as well as something that's going towards care, and that group nature lends itself to this authority and loyalty, I think. There's also a fairness where we're getting on the people who aren't contributing to the group. The hoarders that are, hurting everybody else are getting attacked and lambasted in public. I've also seen this in a political nature too, on both sides, where, for example, Trump was being a little bit more political, and people attacked him for not being someone who brings people together. On the other side, I've seen news articles that have attacked the Democrats or mentioned that the Republicans have attacked the Democrats for that 2 trillion stimulus package. Overall, though, I mean the fact that we have multiple different pillars associated with conservatives and liberals is good because I think that we're getting a coordinated effort, which is great. That's what we need. But I would say during the Corona crisis, we're also fighting against some of the moral pillars that are important to each sect, right? We've got, within conservatives, they have the sanctity, but they're assigning value to the market, and the fact that it's falling apart is pulling a lot of people to get back into go, ignoring the care. Haidt said at one point that conservatives are more willing to sacrifice care for another moral objective, and I think the sanctity is fighting against that. I've listened to someone recently on the news talk about how we need to just get out there and bear through this and grit through this because we can't let the economy and all the hard work that we've put into this thing go to waste. Whereas, I mean, we would be losing human lives otherwise. So there's this combat of stance between care and sanctity, which I think a lot of people are getting, um, you know, unhappy about. On the other side, there's also this liberty aspect where people don't want to be told what to do and want to still live their life regardless of this disease, or maybe not disease, but virus that's going around. So and that's maybe a little bit more on the liberal side, but it also applies to the libertarians. So it's both conservative and liberal, but on both sides, there's this fight against um, abiding by the rules that we're establishing for the coronavirus. However, I think the biggest thing that we're struggling with is that we're losing this hivish nature, and it's a natural issue. I know Haidt also talked about that during 9/11, people felt this intense sense of community and that there was this like things that people were doing. I mean, it was almost like there were rituals going on to bind people together. But the problem right now is that we can't have those, even though we're facing a national crisis in a somewhat similar way. We're only connected via small boxes in the internet. So I think it's funny that either rituals are not happening at all or they're happening online, and then there are some people like this fellow um, right here that aren't involved at all. So I'm wondering if we're getting into some kind of situation where we have a anomie, as I talked about, where the group falls apart, and the group is kept together by the moral structure, but I don't know if we accounted for the fact that there's we're kept separate to this degree, that we've got this self quarantine going on to this extent, so I'm just wondering, if this could play a role at all. I don't see it playing any role currently, but some of the issues that are associated with this anomie state are showing up. We've got, an inability to achieve larger projects that comes with larger losing motivation. I was listening to it was a Snapchat news article today about how people are losing motivation and not feeling as engaged. And there's also a lot of increased unhappiness and stress. And that's just the nature of the fact that we should be social and we want to be social and we want to engage with each other. I mean, we have that 10% B nature, but we can't do it. I mean, we're losing the cooperative structures that we need. So I'm left with this final question where it's how do we maintain this hive structure, this 10% B, with only virtual interaction? I wonder if that's going to be a problem at all. And I do believe that I got it right with the moral foundations and the structure he was talking about. I see a lot of the things that he was talking about with his moral matrix going on and relationships between why different groups would choose different things. But I don't think he accounted for the fact that we would be stuck in a situation where we can't engage in groups as we normally would, and we're stuck to a virtual groupishness. So I'm interested to see how that is going to play out since I don't think he accounted for that. Um, Anyway, that's all I got. Thanks.